Hey, what's going on gamers? It's Ryan 6 days a week, and I just have a quick update video for you all regarding a number of Discord messages shared by SDF, the Dark and Darker lead developer, as we now have a confirmed date for the next wipe and some details on content updates that will follow shortly after. First, the leaderboard season has been extended by an additional week, meaning that you now have up until February 29th to hit your desired rank and get those sweet cosmetic rewards. After the leaderboard ends, there will be a 2-week prep period before the next wipe happens on March 14th. SDF did state that we should expect various trials and drastic balance changes to occur during this 2-week period. So, do expect some crazy tests that aren't necessarily limited to skills, spells, and perks. During the last leaderboard intermission period, we saw ironmace first test the only common geared normal lobbies, which are now part of the game, so I'm excited for whatever they have planned. Now, let's take a look at some of SDF's messages that were found outside of the announcements page, as he details some more work that is planned for the near future. First, it sounds like the team's largest focus is on the Druid, the upcoming shape-shifting and nature magic focused class. The Ice Abyss, which is going to be the next layer deeper after the Ice Caverns, and the Frost Wyvern, which of course will be the first main boss of the Ice Mountains map collection. No official date associated with any of them mentioned quite yet, but from the wording and some progress shared with us in the past, I do imagine we would see the first stages of the Druid at wipe, and then the new map and boss a few weeks into wipe. Next, SDF mentioned a new Squire merchant that will greatly improve the convenience for players to access normal games. By this, I do think he is hinting at a class-specific merchant that provides all equipable gear at the common grade. So, you no longer need to wait for the weaponsmith refresh to get the weapon you need for playing normals. Additionally, SDF brought up a normal adventure rank system, which does sound a lot like a separate ranking leaderboard specifically for normal lobbies. Now this one I'm a little bit on the fence about, since in common only, gear balance will favor some classes much more than others due to the damage related perks and base stat distribution. But I'm excited to see how this plays out, since normal mode is essentially a battle royale and can heavily be influenced by how quickly you find good items opposed to how much gold you spend. So yeah, a completely different playstyle compared to High Roller, but I think that's a great thing. Next, SDF mentioned that the team is considering an item insurance system through the Goblin Merchant known as Dungeon Recovery. I do imagine this will operate similar to Tarkov, in which insured items that you bring in will return to you if they are not looted. He also stated that they plan on adding in an expressman that will safely deliver dungeon items. So, I'm guessing a paid service mid-raid that you can use to safely ship items to your stash without having to extract completely. I do hope that this is something that is just limited to quest items and not necessarily other players' gear. No other details are given at this current time. Next, in referencing the Dungeon Recovery service and the Expressman, SDF stated that they would introduce random matchmaking and remove DuoQs as a result of the testing. This is quite big news, and in my opinion, hints more at how Dungeon Recovery would work. I imagine that in addition to returning unlooted items, Dungeon Recovery will also prevent certain items from being looted by your teammates in the event of a team kill, to of course further discourage griefing. This I think would work great in the game and ease some of the fear of bringing in good gear. However, regarding the second part of the message, I'm a bit sad that DuoQ may potentially be removed from the game. I don't have any exact numbers on player distribution, but I always felt that duos made up a healthy part of Dark and Darker population. Of course, their data could say otherwise, and it certainly could be primarily solo players entering the DuoQ that makes the Ice Cavern lobbies seem more full, but only time will tell. Next, we have the first iteration of the PvP arenas that will be playable not too long after the wipe. In the past, this was hinted to take place in specific modules that were voted on, but of course things may now have changed. I do imagine there will be both a normal and high roller version of this game mode that have their own adventure point rank system. Next, we have a slight update to the quest system, as quest chapters themselves will most likely be time gated on a week by week basis, at least for the first month. At first, I didn't really like this change, since I always felt the main purpose of time gates are to artificially increase playtime without increasing content. But after some thought, I do believe this is going to be implemented to prevent too much gear disparity in the early stages of the wipe, as most of the endgame craftable gear is locked behind quests. Again, There could be a different motivation behind time gating the quest progression, but to me I think it's mostly just to prevent all the gold gear teams rolling lobbies by the first weekend. Of course, this is something that is still work in progress, so it could definitely be changed by wipe. Finally, it looks like ironmace is considering the complete removal of region select to counter pre-teaming and cheating. I imagine this new system will just matchmake you into the server that offers you the best ping, which honestly, I'm all for. But of course, I don't really ever adjust my server location and always have decently full lobbies, so I can be a little biased in my opinion here. I imagine that some of the lower population servers will negatively be impacted by this change. Alright, now to summarize the upcoming weeks, we have the leaderboards ending on February 29th. 2 weeks of various trials and drastic balance changes, and then a full wipe and start of Preseason 2 on March 14th. In terms of upcoming content, with no particular date tied to any of it quite yet, we have the new Druid class, the Frost Abyss map, the Frost Wyvern main boss, the Dungeon Recovery Gear Insurance System, the Expressman Dungeon Delivery System, the Squire Merchant, Random Player Matchmaking, PvP Arenas, and Quest Chapter System. And things that we may be losing, depending on the data ironmace gathered over the last season, are the option to queue for duo lobbies and the option to select our server region. Alright gamers, I will keep my eye out for anything else mentioned by the dev team and update you all as that info arrives. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.